Hey everybody, it's Norm from Tested.com here at San Diego Comic-Con 2016. Every year at Comic-Con, I have to make my way down to this booth. 4,000 square feet of envy is what I call it, because it's a Sideshow Collectibles booth. Steve, how are you doing?
Doing very well, yourself?
I'm excited. It's the beginning of the day, con's just starting, and I wanted to check out what you guys have to show off, because I love your products. Now, you guys at this booth show off a lot of products. You guys develop and you guys sell, also you guys distribute with partners like Hot Toys at all different scales, but let's start at the smallest scale,
okay.
1/6 scale. What do you guys have this year?
So the 1/6 scale stuff that we've got this year that we're particularly showing off is the Star Wars Bounty Hunter line. So we're doing the full collection of bounty hunters. Forlom, Zengar, Zuckuss, everybody that you've seen in the movie, especially the iconic scene where Vader, we got to go get Han Solo, we've got. A lot of them are re-releases for us because we've tweaked our processes a little bit. We've refined the character, we've refined the sculpts, but because they're collectibles, we want to make sure that we're still offering something special from the behind. So we're leaving out a couple of the special features that we have previously. So over our shoulder here is that entire line and collection, showing off every single bounty hunter that we've got, with the ultimate payoff at the end being the 6 scale Han and Carbonite that can be displayed both vertically and horizontally, so you can have any kind of display and collection options.
Right, you said these are re-releases, which means I can finally take off the IG-88 eBay search I have for the first release. Are you taking out old molds, old digital files? It's been years since these were released. Are they completely new from scratch?
A number of the components are absolutely completely new. So we're redeveloping things from scratch. We're using new castings, new molds, new sculpts, things of that ilk. When it's appropriate, though, we are still maintaining some of the integrity of the older sculpts as well, just so we're not necessarily reinventing the wheel. We want to make sure that we're paying tribute to the characters best possible, but as processes have been refined over the years, we want to make sure that we're still offering the highest of quality, which is what we're really striving to do.
Is the idea to work with a lot of the same artists that had worked on the originals, or has the team just changed up, and are you giving new artists a try?
The team is always changing and always kind of advancing, but yes, when at all possible, we'd like to go back to the old files, the old artists, because these are people who have got a passion for this particular product, so they're clearly going to give it their absolute best, and we want to make sure that they're carrying their work through an entire line.
And what you're showing off here on these display stands, are these like the paint masters, pre-prototypes, production models? What are the details we're seeing here?
You're seeing actually kind of a collection of things. We do have some that are production models, we do have some that are in prototype staging right now. It really kind of depends on, as we get these set to release out, that's what you'll be seeing around the entire Sideshow floor, is a lot of prototypes, a lot of pre-productions, and then we're going to actually 1 or 2 final molds that will be shipping. So it's any kind of guess in game.
Now, one of the things I love about the products you guys do is you also do vehicle accessories. Like with Star Wars, you have the Tauntaun, you have the Endor speeder bike, right? So when you develop these models, are you using different cores, interiors, so they can be more posable for those accessories? Is that put into consideration to change up how these are developed?
If we think that the figure itself is going to be paired with a vehicle, yes, we are absolutely looking at how much articulation we can get out of it. We want to make sure that the vehicle itself, obviously, fully to scale, fully detailed, just like all of the other figures that we do. And then if something needs to be redesigned or tweaked in order to make sure that that figure plays best with that vehicle, then we're going to make the changes necessary. So it's not just it's going to be a standard figure, standard body wrapped in cloth. There's going to be special touches to make sure that the speeder pilot looks like he's made to be sitting on that speeder bike.
Right, and that's what I love about the 6 scale figures, because they're so posable, infinite ways to photograph them, which is what I like to do.
Right.
But from 6 scale, let's go talk about some bigger scales.
That sounds like a great thing.
All right, Steve, now we move on to the premium format scale, which I think is what Sideshow is probably best known for. And seeing premium format over the years, the poses just get more crazier and crazier, especially with this Deadpool guy. Tell me what's going on here.
All right, so our premium format line, as you call that, is the quarter scale line. So we move from 6 scale to quarter scale. The statues clearly not going to be as posable as the 6 scale. There's no articulation to them. So we've got to be creative in how we're actually posing the statue. As you called out, we're starting to get more and more involved in actually what the statue is capable of doing off of a pose. We've got one point of contact with the base, and that's Deadpool's boot within the explosion. So everything is kind of keyed and launched off of that. So it becomes a very delicate balancing game with physics, because you're also going to see the long accessory of the explosion coming off of the rifle with a tiny little bullet at the end of it, how that all balances and plays together, and yet it's all sitting off of the one key foot in the base.
Wow, I mean, it's an engineering challenge because you're working with polystone and sometimes different materials, mixed materials. Now this one doesn't look like it seems to have it, but do you have any new premium format that also has cut and sew real clothes on the characters?
We do. We do have some premium formats that are going to have cut and sews. They're into our Marvel line and things like that, as well as our own IP, the Court of the Dead. There's a lot of cut and sew elements that go into the premium formats there, and so again, that comes into the how we actually craft, make, like, you know, the patterns, the molds, and things like that, so we can actually sew on a realistic pant on it. So it's not just like you're dressing a mannequin, you got to get it around an already bent knee, and how do you make sure that the lines are always going to be consistently the same across every single one that we ship?
Right. And then also, sometimes these can be posed differently with accessories, different heads.
Right.
So which of these have variants that you can swap out?
This guy right here has got two variants that are kind of great. So we see him with a katana slicing the grenade in half right now, looking over his shoulder as he shoots behind him. You can have a swap out portrait head for that, so he's doing the classic blue steel expression, and then you can pair it, instead of the katana, he's actually holding a selfie stick. So we want to make sure that the accessories that we're including are also really telling the story of who the character is.
Every year you guys do new premium format lines. How many of these figures do you have in development at one time that you then build up to Comic-Con to show off?
Oh, we have more in development than I'm even allowed to talk about right now. And we've mentioned before that we cover a lot of different licenses and lines. So we're in DC, Star Wars, Marvel, our own Court of the Dead, and things like that. So at any given time, I mean, a statue like this is taking essentially like a year and a half in development and change. And so we're already looking at what 2018 looks like, 2019 looks like, and then what the releases are for that every year.
And of course, quarter scale isn't where you guys stop. You guys go up another level, so let's go check those out.
Outstanding, let's go.
All right, Steve, so for people with maybe a little more space in their home, something that's almost 2 feet tall, drawn to it immediately, Iron Giant. Wow.
Yeah, this is the piece that actually gives me goosebumps to talk about. The movie is such a special thing for so many people, and we wanted to be able to make sure that that was represented well here. And so we've got our maquette. This is the first time it's been seen. We did a silhouette unveiling online, and it got a lot of attention, so you guys are taking a first look at it. We've got light-up eyes in the head, and the special Sideshow exclusive will be the Superman S that is removable, and we'll also have a version that won't come with the S as well.
Now, because this isn't, you're calling it a maquette because it's not a specific scale. Iron Giant in the fiction is massive. Right. Is there going to be anything to give it a more scale to show? I know you have like the foliage on the bottom, but even Hogarth potentially.
Oh, a Hogarth. Not anything that I can talk about right now, but you're particularly close.
I guess it would make a lot of sense to show the stature of the statue with something to compare it to.
To show a sense of scale? Yeah, that would be kind of nice. Like you said before, it is actually about 2 feet tall. It is going to be clocking in at 37 pounds as well. So this is going to dwarf a majority of most people's collections because they are larger than most premium format figures.
So in the development of maquettes and legendary scale, your half-scale figures, is it the same process that you guys do for sculpting a premium format figure, just blown up?
A lot of times, yes. There are things that we have the ability to do in larger formats that sometimes the 6-scale figures don't necessarily allow for. So you can get a little bit more finer detail because people are going to be able to spec them closer up. Now, that means they're difficult to do on a 6-scale, but on a half scale or something like that, they're going to be much more visually interesting. So we make sure that we pay a particular amount of time with that. And so there's also the ability to put more electronics in there and to perhaps actually add more lights into a piece as well.
I also noticed that for this scale, the poses maybe are more statuesque and a little less crazy dynamic. How do you balance something that's still going to want to be interesting to look at from all sides?
Well, the maquette itself is part of what gives the maquette weight is going to be the statue, as you stature, as you say. That allows us to pay particular points to the details because we know that it's not going to move. You can do a 360 of the Iron Giant, and you're going to see like the back rivets. You're going to see where he would in fact be articulated. Would this be a moving piece? And so we're paying particular attention to that, knowing that a lot of collectors will give this a 360 space, but at the same time, this is the view that most people are going to focus on. So we want to make sure that this is as accurate and as clean as possible, and so it allows us to focus more.
And I guess with the concept of a maquette in the film production world, they are used, so you have like, this is the idealized from all angles detailed version of what the digital version would be.
Absolutely, and that's what we were trying to capture as well. We have a Voltron maquette that is much the same. That's our take on Voltron, but you would be able to look at it from all different angles, both 360 degrees above, below, and see that, oh, this is what it should be representative of on the film, and that's what we're really trying to capture.
But it doesn't stop there, so let's go even one more scale up. And all right, let's do it.
Great.
All right, Steve, so we end up 1-to-1 scale, life-size scale, and it's R2-D2. You guys are doing a full-size R2.
We're doing a full-size R2. So we've done one in the past, but this one's going to be even more screen accurate than we had previously, which means he's sized up a little bit. We've relooked at some of the numbers, and we've made what is, for us, the most accurate 1-to-1 R2-D2 that we've ever produced. It's made of metal, fiberglass, and plastic elements. We've got a little swivel on the head here, which gives it a little bit more depth and posability, which you don't generally see in 1-to-1 scale figures.
Right. I mean, we know a lot of people who build R2s as a hobby, the R2 Builders Club. Like, what are your references to get this as a licensee? Like, what assets are you getting to build this as close as the product?
We are fortunate enough to obviously to work closely with Lucasfilm because this is a licensee, because this is a licensed product. So we have the ability to go through their archives and their assets and figure out the proper paint, the colors, the accessories. We know that in A New Hope, the R2 shifts in different ways. There's some scenes where there's a panel, some scenes when there's not. So we have tried to take the average New Hope R2 and represent it here. And so we've checked all the film archives, we've watched the film, we're obviously all fans. We also have the R2 builders that we're big fans with and friends with. They swing through here and they check it out as well. And when we get their stamp of approval on it, that we always consider that like a little extra bonus.
And then how do you decide like what features to put in and what not to put in? Were there conversations of hiding things behind panels or even getting them rolling?
Deciding the features is always one of the hardest things that we do because we can keep on going, but we want to make sure that this is something that's accessible to a lot of different collectors. And if we keep on making it rolling, and if we keep on adding more and more and more and more and more, it's actually going to put it out of the range of what some collectors are willing to do. So we kind of have to restrain ourselves because our fandoms run a little bit wild. So for this one, you can hear it right now. We put a speaker in the dead center so we can have the authentic sounds. And then you're talking about compartments and stuff. There is a remote control. There isn't a compartment right here that the remote control actually stores into. So it's a nice little hidden secret thing. The eye sockets move. They're made of metal. They have a great textural feel to them. And the swivel is exceptionally smooth on it as well, just because we wanted it a different posability and different options. This is mounted to a Millennium-style Falcon base. It won't roll. It won't move. We're not model makers in that regard, but we are statue makers, and that's what we really kind of wanted to highlight.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Steve, for showing us a little bit of the collection. There's, again, 4,000 square feet. What did you say, 50 different stands here?
50 different stands, close to a little over 100 different statues and figures on display right now.
Holy moly. Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit with us
my pleasure.
and our audience. It's great to see you.
You as well. Take care.